My name is James Svetec, and I guess it was about 6 years ago now that I first started working with StudentWorks. So I started working with StudentWorks when I was in my very first year of university. I remember coming out of university, I went into a business degree. I studied business and entrepreneurship at Carleton University in Ottawa. And I pretty much chose that degree because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I remember when I went into university, I was coming out of high school, obviously, and I knew I liked math classes. My career, guidance counselors had told me that I should be a lawyer because I took a couple of career tests on some program, and it told me that a lawyer would be a good fit. I honestly just had no idea what I really wanted to do. But business seemed broad enough because obviously there's tons of different businesses in all different industries, and so it just seemed broad enough that it'd be a good field to go into to keep my options open. When I first got to university, I was in my lecture classes, and I started realizing very quickly that what I had been told throughout high school was that when I get into my business classes in high school, it's going to be a lot more applicable. It's going to be a lot more real life stuff, because I was kind of always that kid in class who had their hand up going, what's the point of us learning this? Like, why are we actually learning this? What's the value in it? What's the purpose of it? And very quickly I realized that once I got to university, it was just the same thing, different story. In third year and fourth year, that's when you're going to really learn the hands-on applicable stuff. And for me, it was frustrating because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I also didn't feel like I was getting any closer to figuring out what I wanted to do, because everything that I was learning was still so general, and I still couldn't see how it would actually apply towards my future. And I remember I was sitting in class, and someone came in and they talked about StudentWorks and this opportunity to, in your first year university or in your second year, or whatever, you could run your own business. And they talked about having full autonomy. And I remember I went out to an info session later that week, and I learned more about StudentWorks, and I learned about what everything was really about. And honestly, I was skeptical. I thought it was just too good to be true. I remember actually calling my parents up and telling them about it. And my sister had actually, funnily enough, been to an information session over at Queen's to learn more about it. And I was calling and talking to her about it, and I was just saying, I think this is too good to be true. Like, they're saying you can earn a bunch of money, really great income potential, you can have a ton of autonomy. And I just thought, what are the odds that someone's actually going to let me run a company? Like, that's just kind of crazy. Like, at the time I was 18, 19 years old, first year university student. I had pretty much no business education, certainly, not like I actually learned anything that was really applicable to my business in first year university. And so I remember my parents, funnily enough, were actually the ones that encouraged me to apply, to go to the next information session, put in an application. And I remember, still being a little bit skeptical, thinking it was too good to be true. And then also just not really being sure if this is legit, what odds do I have of actually getting accepted into the program? Like, I knew from what they told me that it was really competitive, and I just wasn't sure if I would actually get in. But I ended up going through with it, and I'm absolutely so glad that I did. It was honestly the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. Now, 6 years after first joining, I worked with StudentWorks for a total of 4 years, paid my way through all of my university, managed to get out of school without any debt because I was able to completely afford my tuition, my living expenses. I'm now running a business that I've been running for the last 8-9 months. We're on track to do $1.2 million in our first year in sales. And that's really crazy to think that I'm now just shy of 25 years old, and we already have a business doing $100,000 in sales a month, only 8-9 months after having started it. And absolutely, undoubtedly, without a shadow of a doubt, I can say that so much of that is attributed to the foundation that was built through StudentWorks, the relationships that were built through StudentWorks. Chris, the head of the company, is still one of my number one mentors. He's the guy I go to for advice. He's the guy that's guided me throughout this entire journey of entrepreneurship that I've been on, and a really, really, truly amazing friend, and a relationship that I hold really near and dear to my heart. Along with Pat, my district manager, who I worked with for the whole 4 years I was in StudentWorks, is now literally my best friend in the entire world. And I go to him for all kinds of advice, all kinds of help. And I'm literally working with two of the people in my company right now are actually people that I work directly with in StudentWorks. So not only the relationships, but also just like the actual hard and soft skills that I gained from working with Student Works for those 4 years. Things like learning sales, learning marketing, to softer skills like learning how to actually manage people and how to work with people. I remember getting a great book recommendation from my district manager, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And it was an incredibly impactful book while I was running my business with Student Works, and it's been impactful ever since. All these different things that I learned throughout actually running my business have contributed in such a large and meaningful way to my business right now, but also all the other areas of my life. Because realistically, if you get to be a better communicator, if you learn how to handle rejection, if you learn how to deal with people and manage people effectively, that spills over into every single area of your life, and it certainly has for me. There's no doubt in my mind that I would not be anywhere near where I am today if it hadn't have been for Student Works, and if I hadn't have literally, called my parents and had them convince me to put in my application, if I hadn't have actually put it in despite, worrying about whether I would even get accepted or not. Looking back, it's just one of those kind of pivotal moments in my life that I look at and I go, and I just always think about how crazy it is that little decision, that one small decision to go, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to put in an application, has literally changed the entire trajectory of my life. Like everything that I have in my life, I can't even imagine what it would be like right now if it weren't for Student Works. The relationships I have, the success that I've had thus far, it would all be drastically different if I hadn't have worked with Student Works. And so I'm really, really grateful that I did that, and can honestly say that if you are someone who's thinking about applying to work with Student Works, if you're considering it, do it. Absolutely do it. Just don't even think about it. I will be what my parents were to me, to you right now, and just say, absolutely do it. The one catch with it, because I realized this, I thought it was too good to be true when I first joined, and I realized the catch was that it is an insane amount of hard work. I was challenged more in that first year working with Student Works than I had ever been before in my entire life. I was always someone that had a relatively easy time in school, was never super challenged by it. I worked hard, I got good grades, and I never, with work, I always kind of felt like it wasn't that hard to outperform. When I had jobs, like I remember I worked landscaping through high school, and I just worked really hard. I would just move a lot more bricks than the guy beside me. It never really challenged me in the way that Student Works did in that first year. It was so incredibly challenging, mentally, physically, like everything about it was just so challenging, but it really, in the best possible way, at least for me, because I realized that I actually thrive with challenge. Challenge excites me. Everything I'm doing now in my life is incredibly challenging. And anytime that it's not, I get bored and I figure out how to take things to the next level so that I can make it more challenging. Because for me personally, the more that I'm challenging myself, the more progress I'm making, the more fulfilled I am overall, and the happier I am overall. So that is the one catch. If you don't want to work hard and you don't want to make that kind of massive progress, and you just want to take a more kind of slow and steady approach to things and kind of keep inside your comfort zone, this is not going to be the program for you. I can tell you that right now. But if you are up for a challenge and you think you have what it takes and you want to just really build some incredible relationships, build some incredible skills, and set yourself way ahead of everyone else, then absolutely apply. You need to apply for this program, because I have never seen anything else like it. The amount of coaching that you get, the amount of mentorship that you get, the network that you get to tap into is absolutely incredible. I literally pay thousands of dollars now to be in networks with other entrepreneurs in the way that I was with Student Works. So if you're thinking about applying and you're skeptical or you're hesitant or you're whatever, do it. Just submit the application. And if you are like me and you wonder, hey, what are my shot of actually doing it? I get that, and it can be really scary. And I know you probably think that you don't, your application won't stand out, but really put your best foot forward, and you never know what's going to happen. If you end up getting selected, I guarantee you it will completely change your life for the better in every single way. So it's something I couldn't speak more highly of, because I attribute just so much of my success to the foundation that was built through Student Works, and the relationships I have. I don't know, I'm rambling now. Anyway, I'm really happy to put this video together, and hopefully it helps you to answer some of your questions. And I know I'm still in touch with Chris all the time, and he's always telling me about the success of the operators coming out of the program. So hopefully your success is one that I get to hear about very shortly.